Hey everyone, just wanted to share some information about student loans and student loan debt. Something I've been talking about for a couple years now. Actually, it was probably some of the first videos I ever made talking about the $1 trillion in student loan debt. I think it's about $1.5 trillion now. At this point, might be 1.3 trillion that they're saying is the debt bubble that we have right now, which is a massive debt bubble here in the United States. And I'm going to talk about some information related to HUD and also some student loan cancellations. So it's pretty specific. This debt forgiveness is going on for students who attended the ITT Technical Institute and made claims against the school for misrepresentation or deceit. The Education Department announced on Wednesday ITT, a for profit technical school that operated campuses across the United States, closed in 2016. So, yes, people were trying to sue ITT. They spent many, many years going after ITT, saying that they made fraudulent claims. Eligible borrowers will receive 100% loan discharge, totaling about $500 million, which is really just really nothing. So compared to, like I said, the trillions, the I think we're up to, like I said, $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. Claims from some 18,000 students have been approved. So these are people who pursued the lawsuit against the schools. Our action today will give thousands of borrowers a fresh start and relief they deserve after ITT repeatedly lied to them. Officials found that the school misrepresented how much students could expect to earn and the types of jobs that they could land after graduation. So honestly, this could be any school. So when I went to college, people said, "Oh, all you got to do is get the 4-year degree. If you go to high school, you're not going to be able to find a job, but if you get a 4-year degree, you'll definitely be able to get a job, and these are the types of jobs that you can get, and they're going to be out here, and this is how much you can expect to earn, and you can't make this amount of money if you don't go to school." And they lied and lied and lied. And under President Bush, they made it so you can't go through bankruptcy, so the student loans are not dischargeable. And then under Obama, they actually expanded the amount of debt as far as the amount that they were allowed to charge for interest rates. So the interest rates went way, way up, and people tried to refinance, thinking it'd be better under Fannie and Freddie to refinance privately, and then they got screwed over again. So it's a huge, huge issue. And the 2008 collapse, they said, oh, this is once in a lifetime collapse that we're seeing, and now we're right at the precipice of another collapse. So the really people complain about millennials, but they've been just screwed so hard by the student loan fiasco by creating first they created the federal student loan program, so then schools just kept raising their prices. The latest round of forgiveness is thanks to provisions in the law that allows borrowers with federal student loans to ask that the debt be erased if their schools did anything deceptive or illegal or abruptly went out of business. So, for one of these borrow defense claims to be approved, you must be able to demonstrate that your college violated state law with your loan or with the education services the school provided. So, in my opinion, pretty much any of these for-profit schools, even state schools, would fall under this provision, but it would be difficult to prove the borrower defense in court. This new relief is in addition to $1 billion in student loan debt the Biden White House canceled earlier this year under the same law. A later unrelated move forgave $1.3 billion. In the case of ITT, eligible borrowers will receive notices over the next several weeks, followed by forgiveness of their loans. So it must be awesome for these people whose lives have literally been destroyed over the past couple of decades because of this crippling debt. As I've discussed before, when it comes to debt to income ratio with housing, any sort of car loans, anything, you can't get into a house, you can't get a mortgage, you can't get a car because they will look at your debt to income ratio and they will say, look, you have student loans, you haven't paid them off with this increasing amount of interest that they keep slapping people with, so therefore you are stuck as a renter the rest of your life. This year's debt cancellations are, to be honest, just small change compared to the sweeping student loan forgiveness that's being discussed in Washington and is advocated by a number of influential lawmakers. I don't foresee this happening though because they said way back in 2008 that this was going to happen. Members of Congress have been on a mission to convince Biden to obliterate $50,000 in federal student loan debt for every American saddled with unpaid college loans. They want the president to use his executive authority to strike the debt. Look, how many executive orders did Biden sign in his first week, his first month, first 3 months of office? So I don't foresee him doing this. Like I said, I would love to be wrong and actually be pleasantly surprised. Now, granted, a lot of people say, "Well, I paid off my student loans, or I didn't go to college because I wasn't irresponsible," and I agree. I think it's sad, unfortunate. Either way, it's unfortunate either way. I think people were lied to, though. You have to understand that. Members of Congress have been on a mission to convince Biden to obliterate the debt. He said he's willing to cancel 10,000 in student loan debt, which is basically just the interest payments, interest rate. But he has rebuffed calls for a bigger amount. Still, he has asked administration officials to look into the idea, and he recently told Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren that they're welcome to keep pushing him on the issue. So, if you think about it, $10,000 in student loan debt, I was looking at like a 6 month program for like a technical program, and that was like $11,000 they wanted just for like to get a certification. So 10,000 wouldn't even pay for like a couple month technical certification, sorry, not even a degree. Those fighting for more generous relief say it would give Americans a more meaningful break from crushing student loan debt that's kept them from buying homes and cars, getting married, and investing in their future. First, consider refinancing your loans. No, that's actually a bad idea because, and I'm not giving financial advice, but they're talking about forgiving federal loans. So if you refinance into a private loan, that won't fall under that eventual debt forgiveness, FYI. But of course, do your own research. I'm not giving financial advice. And then the Wall Street Journal, HUD aims to boost home ownership for buyers with high student loans, relax student debt calculation will likely qualify more Black and Hispanic buyers for federal government backed loans. So, Wall Street Journal has just blocked me from reading this, but I looked at this earlier. This was actually under the Trump administration. They had started to relax the debt to income ratio that I had mentioned earlier, but probably not really going into effect right now. A relaxed student loan calculation will likely qualify just poor people in general. I know they're saying Black and Hispanic, unless if they specifically just say you have to be Black or Hispanic to get it, which they did with the farm loan and grant forgiveness. They were talking about Biden administration making it only for Black. I'm not sure if it was Hispanic too, but I think it was primarily African American farmers who would get the loan forgiveness, and not if you have pale skin. So I don't know if that will expand for student loans. FHA is relaxing the way it assesses student loan debt when weighing eligibility for homeowners. So I might be able to look at this here. Student loan debt. While many traditional home buyers are being squeezed out of the market by inflated real estate prices, which, as I'm saying, is because of BlackRock. They're using the guise of Zillow and these other companies, but ultimately BlackRock is they're taking all this printed money, the trillions of dollars. Biden's talking about another $6 trillion uh, bailout, if you will, and BlackRock Investments is doing this to buy people out of their homes, and then turning it all into a rental market. Inflated real estate prices, builders are working to keep up with demand amongst a shortage of skilled labor and supplies. Federal Housing Administration is making it easier for buyers with a load of student debt to purchase their first home. So they're talking about if you're a first time home buyer, they're hopefully going to lessen it. FHA estimates that more than 40% of borrowers also have student loan debt, with much of this debt impacting students of color, people of color who are trying to get a loan. These changes remove unnecessary constraints for otherwise credit-worthy borrowers and reinforce FHA's ability to serve those who need us most, including first-time homebuyers and underserved communities. So you might remember I did a couple of videos on a house that I was trying to buy, which was uh, right next door to my mother's house, the house I grew up in, and it was from the 1700s. It was an old tavern, and I wanted to buy that house, fix it up, etc. Went through the whole process. I had great credit, great work history, had the money down, ready to go, and then they told me that my because of my debt to income ratio with my student loans, because of the interest, I did not qualify. I'd need another cosigner, like my parents or something like that, and they were unwilling to do that. So um, that did not work out. But yeah, some people have asked me about that if I did ever end up buying that home, and this is why, exactly because of this. Student debt has risen to historic levels now that FHA is relaxing the way it accesses student loan debt when weighing eligibility for home buying assistance. So I've talked about this, like I said, with under the Trump administration. The policy updates remove the current requirement that lenders calculate a borrower's student loan monthly payment of 1% of the outstanding student loan balance for student loans that are not fully amortizing or are not in repayment. The new policy bases the monthly payment on the actual student loan payment, which is often lower, and helps homebuyers who, with student debt, meet minimum eligibility requirements for an FHA insured mortgage. So, yes, if they had used this to calculate, like I said a few years ago, I definitely could have gotten the home, but because they calculated it on 1% of the outstanding, the total, instead of what the actual is for federal. Just wanted to share this with you. I'm not giving you a sob story or anything, just letting people know. I know there's millions and millions of people in the same boat. So pretty interesting, slowly in the works, but I will believe it when I see it. Meanwhile, it's best to definitely invest in tangibles right now. So you can see there's an advertisement right here. Trusted precious metal sources. So they're buying up cars, buying up real estate, buying metals, and meanwhile celebrities are being paid to push the crypto market, etc. So just want to share this with you. Like I said, none of this is any sort of financial or life advice, just sharing with you what I have seen. And congrats to all the ITT technical people whose lives have totally been destroyed by that. So just especially private loans, it's just insane what they've done to people. It's criminal, it really is. So canceling it is really the least. Their youth has been destroyed. I've known people who have held off on getting married, held off on having a family, because they're like, well, I got to pay off my student loans first, and this is the right thing, the responsible thing to do. And I remember Susie Orman yelling at people a few years ago that because they're buying a cup of coffee, they can't buy a home. So there you go.